Hello, friends and listeners, party people. Welcome back to another episode of Party XP. I'm your host, Lakan. Well, kind of. John is giving me the game this time. John's back.
I'm in control now.
There you go. John's in control. This is his show now. So, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Good. A little tired, but, you know, what can you do? We're over 30, so every day is just me being tired.
Oh, geez. No, you give me my age. Oh, God. They think, like, what's this old man doing talking about games?
I'm still young. I can still hang with these kids playing Fortnite and drinking their bubble tea.
Back in my day, there was a Super in front of the Nintendo.
Back in my day, we had 16 bits.
Mario was two-dimensional.
Sure, Grandpa.
Whatever you say. Eat your prunes.
Yeah, but so we had John on for the first episode of season 2 or year 2 of Party XP, and I enjoyed the conversation with him. He's my friend, so I was hoping he enjoyed the conversation with him.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, John.
The highest compliment.
Thanks, John. You weren't terrible on the first episode. So this time we're having John come back, and he's gonna go ahead and toss me a game recommendation this time.
All right.
So go ahead, John. The wheel's yours.
Okay, so the game that I'm going to be recommending to you is Prince of Persia, the 2008 version of the game.
Okay, so a little context here. I am a big fan of the Prince of Persia series. I never played this game. For some reason, this game and the next one afterwards also both fell under my kind of scooted under my radar, basically. And
when you say the next one, are you talking about like Forgotten Sands?
That one,
okay.
Yeah, whatever. I think that one's connected to the original.
That one I think is connected to the original 3.
Yeah, did not care. I think also at that time it's hard for me because I was everyone was playing Assassin's Creed at the time, so it's like okay, why would I care about a lot of people, including myself. Unfortunately, it was like, why would I go back to Prince of Persia, even though Prince of Persia is an awesome series?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Prince of Persia, the reboot, the
2008 version.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you got some information?
Got
some information for me?
Oh, yes, I do. So Prince of Persia is the second reboot of the series inspired by the 1989 version of the Prince of Persia game.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, the side-scrolling one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
So it is an action-adventure platforming game, obviously created by Ubisoft Montreal. It was released in the United States on December 2nd, 2008 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And December 9th on Windows. The next March, it was released on Mac. It also was released in November 11th of 2008 for mobile.
What?
Yes, it for mobile phones that runs on the Java platform that taking place in a 2D environment and has a feater of enabling the players to control a second character at certain points of the level.
Huh. Oh, so this is a straight up different game, basically.
Yeah, like pretty much. It seems like it. It seems like more of like the side scroller
OG.
Yeah.
Persia game.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it was interesting. The art is by if I mispronounce these names, I'm sorry. Michael Labat or Michael LeBeau, probably. I don't know. I only mentioned the artist because I feel like the art in the game is actually really beautiful. Like the stylistic aspect of it is like pretty, like for me was unique going into a game. So like it's definitely like something that catches your eye. And the music was composed by Stuart Chatwood, which he's part of a band called the Tea Party. I don't know if you've ever heard it. You're a big music guy. But he worked on several other Prince of Persia titles, and he also worked for music on another roguelike game, The Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, sick! That's awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I figured that would be your peak.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice little touch there.
And then the second composer on the game's music was made by Anand Zur. Again, not sure if I pronounced these right. Who worked on music for Power Rangers Turbo.
Sick.
And also a music of another game that I played, was an introduction for me into another series, Dragon Age Origins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is a wide cast here.
Yeah. So like, two very accomplished musicians working on this game.
I'm hoping this game's thematically good then.
So I feel like, basic outline of like the plot, basically set in ancient Persia, follows an unnamed person who finds himself in a mysterious land after a large sandstorm diverts him from his course. Here he meets a princess and must work with her to imprison an evil entity who has corrupted the land after being released by the princess's father.
This sounds strangely similar to the original Prince of Persia game that I played.
But it's not.
Okay. Am I treading into spoiler territory here?
It received generally modest positive reviews, just overall, just because I know you mentioned like, oh god, off camera I mentioned this and he's like, oh god, the bad one. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about this game.
Yeah,
this is one of the games that again actually went genuinely under my radar.
Yeah, it was like it received like they see 6 or 7s out of 10s mostly for the most part.
So not terrible. Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually 7 out of 10 on Steam. So one of the reviews there. So just throwing that out there. Cool. Also, this game is not the only game in this iteration of the series.
Really,
there's another game tied to it. Is a spinoff of this game was made for the DS in December of 2008. And is the only other game tied to this series. To this particular.
So that means Ubisoft dropped this game. There's a bad one then.
No. I think Ubisoft dropped this game and the DS game like concurrently to try and double cash in on like this entire thing to see what it. Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
It did pretty good on sales. Like it wasn't like it didn't like bomb or anything. It was just,
this is a rough pitch. I'm gonna let you know this right now. You are not to make this game sound appealing.
No. It had like success wise like. Review wise, it did solid. Like sales wise, it did solid.
Okay.
Like it didn't like it wasn't like oh god,
it wasn't an actual bomb.
Yeah, like it wasn't an actual bomb or anything. So like I think it suffers from the curse of being part of a series that probably had maybe better games in it, and like because of that critical success of the original reboot of the trilogy. They like this one wasn't quite that, so they were like, "Oh, I don't like it." Kind of like how I feel about like when I say talking about Arkham like Origins and stuff like that. It's like
gotcha.
Arkham Origins on its own, in my opinion, is a pretty good game. Okay. And, like it is fine. Like
but in comparison to the previous, games,
like that's where it gets its flack from. So
gotcha.
But like if you play Arkham Origins just by itself without touching,
kind of like within a vacuum.
Yeah, it's a pretty good game.
Okay,
it's a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing really wrong with it.
Okay,
so
cool.
And kind of how I feel about Prince of Persia. Because this is
that's again a bad line to close off your pitch.
Kind of how I feel about Prince of Persia. No, I think it's a good game.
Okay.
I finished it. I didn't have a problem with it. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see how you feel about it.
Word. So, yeah. Again, kind of a funny coincidence actually, because I bought a physical copy of this game like 2-3 months ago. Like I just found it at one of the retro shops that I frequent, right? And I was like, I'll get around to this eventually. And then we got into conversation a little bit about if John wanted to hop on for a second episode, what we would recommend. And this came into conversation, and I was like, I've never actually played this game now that I think about it, and I don't think I remember watching Gabe playing it. So I should probably try this game. And then this whole kind of like thing about like this weird reception because of at the time kind of thing, now that we're kind of away from the, no longer looking at through like rose-tinted goggles, I'll probably get a relatively pure look at this game.
Yeah,
basically.
And I'm actually super interested in how you will react to playing this game because it's like I think it's on the cusp of like good and like okay, like somewhere in that as far as like general reviews go, where like I think it's truly going to be like a player to player experience. Like for you, what will it feel like? Yeah. Especially like you have that previous experience.
I'm a massive fan of the original series.
Massive fan of the original,
or the original
series.
Reboot.
Yeah.
Technically.
So this is like, and this is more of like probably a spiritual successor, especially of like the original side scroller, and like how you feel about that, especially and compared to the original reboot.
Well, I guess I got one question without spoiling anything else for the game before I get my hands onto it. Does this play like the original the reboot trilogy? Like where you're wall running, I'm assuming the combat's kind of like you're in the circle. That's in the circle spatial combat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
those elements are still there. Yeah,
okay,
those elements are still there. The combat very much the same. In terms of what you're describing, from what I remember.
So the blueprints are there from that
they don't.
Version
yeah, it's not.
It's not just a side scroller where I'm avoiding pitfalls the entire time.
No, it's not. It is platforming, the wall running like you mentioned, and like the similar combat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
very, very, very similar. So,
okay, cool. Yeah, so again, it's a good way for me to force me to actually play this game now and actually form a proper opinion on this game.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, I'm down to give it a try.
Nice.
Okay, so listeners, there'll be a short break here, and it'll probably by the time we're back, it'll probably be a week or two, maybe 2 weeks, most likely 2 weeks probably, and I'll have gotten my hands on Prince of Persia, the 2008 reboot of a reboot.
No, it's just one reboot.
Just one reboot.
It's a reboot. It's just the second reboot of the 1980s.
Second reboot of the 1980. Okay, yeah, that one. This Prince of Persia. I'll get my hands on it.
It didn't help. They didn't add any of the tagline to it. They just made it Prince of Persia, and then like we gotta like search the 2008 version.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a bit.
And welcome back, everybody. It has been 2 weeks, and Lakan has gotten his hands on Prince of Persia, the 2008 version. Lakan, I am just filled with anticipation at your first thoughts of this game.
I think I like the trilogy better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't know if that's the, again. I didn't really do a lot of online digging to see if this was a well received game versus the previous. I mean, I saw that this game was relatively well received overall, right? I mean, you during the first half of the recording, right? I had these preconceived notions of like this is the bad one, isn't it? Right? Again, like because I assumed this is because I didn't hear a whole lot about this one, and also because this one never got a follow up game. I assumed this was like not a particularly liked game. That's what I assumed. So I came into this one. I tried to like get rid of those preconceived notions. It's hard, obviously, because I already kind of thought this for a couple of years. It's been out since 2008, right? And I love the reboot trilogy, the original one.
Yeah.
So this game overall, not a bad game. I did have a couple times where I like struggled with like. See, here's the thing. I don't know if it was because I'm tired because I work overnight and I was trying to play the game and I'm tired and I was falling asleep in my chair, or it's because there were a couple things that felt repetitive over time.
You want my thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing that I thought was like, this game's overall decent, right? I'm enjoying myself for the most part, but also like I'm like falling asleep in my chair. Like, what's happening?
So, keep in mind, I played this game 15 years ago,
Okay.
but one of the things that I did feel when I played the game was similar to your feeling. Was there were parts that drew on a little bit too long, mainly platforming parts that from I remember just going off memory, platforming parts definitely drew on a little too long, was a little long in the tooth in terms of content of the game.
So specifically in terms of like movement parts, right? It was the plates. Like the movement plates, like, you know, you launch yourself, or you like it's like this weird lightning grappling hook thing, or you fly. That's the worst one. Actually, the flying was the worst one. Those sections they're a little bit extended. Those are the ones where I would like feel myself in my chair, like zoning out, because all I'm doing is pressing triangle, waiting for the next thing to happen. You know what I mean? So like I can feel myself like having a couple of those moments of like just like please just let me get this part done, so I can actually play the game again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed, and yeah, you're absolutely right in terms of like some of the movement parts, the movement sections get a little like they kind of overstay their welcome a little bit. You know what I mean? I mean, that being said, that this game does the cool thing that I noticed right off the bat with this game was it's not linear like the previous trilogy. So the previous trilogy, while each room was technically like a movement puzzle, this is like, you know, kind of like a not an open world. It's more of like a semi-open hub kind of deal going on, which I kind of liked.
Yeah.
Because like it's not Assassin's Creed and it's not fully linear like the old school Prince of Persia games, right?
Yeah.
Which I kind of dug. But the thing is like there's also like the collector in me where it's like I have to collect all the light sparks. So I have to travel the entire map. You know what I mean? So I have to do everything. And I towards the end of this of the 2 weeks, I had to stop like doing that because I had to make sure I finished the game before we got back to recording kind of thing. Like I finished this game like yesterday. Like I had the warrior fight.
Yeah.
And then fight the god. I forgot his name already again.
No, I mean I can. Look
Yeah,
at it. But yeah, I don't.
Here's the thing. The story in this game is like it's decent, but not enough for me to care.
I'm not surprised at that. It's like because the story I outlined it in like the beginning of the episode, and like it's like pretty straightforward. And to be fair, you get basically a bulk of the story, what's happening, what the plot is, very early on, and then you just play through to get to like the end to get to the big bad. From what I remember,
basically, yeah.
And it's like there's not really like a whole bunch of development outside of like there's not like one thing that
there's like a little bit of character development maybe at most, and like a little bit of like like interaction as well too.
Yeah, like there's not a ton,
No.
and it's only like for all intents and purposes like what 2 characters.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
and like
so.
the 4 bosses are kind of just like. Oh, this is also a person of Ahriman. There we go. It's like these are these are like people who sold their souls to Ahriman for power or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, sure, I guess. How do I fight him? You know what I mean? That's kind of what I got to of it.
Yeah.
That being said, though, the gameplay is fun. You know. Oh, sorry, I cut you off. You were finishing off that thought. Before.
No. Yeah. I mean, no. I mean, I was kind of just going ahead of like the story and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, so again, since I played it now that's relatively fresh in my mind still. Elika's father was releasing the god Ahriman, right?
Yeah.
Who is known to have released their corrupted power or bestowed their corrupted power upon other people.
Yeah.
Making them essentially immortal demons, I guess technically, right?
Yeah.
Until essentially they're like saved or like whatever cleansed over their power or whatever.
Apologies to the Prince of Persia 2008 version stands who are just screaming.
Who's so angry at me. Look, like the story's not that deep. It is not that deep.
It's like no, that's not how it was.
Yeah. You're trying to basically so you as the prince and Elika as like your not like your side character, because she essentially plays like as you basically plays 2 characters all the time. With the power of Ormazd, the light god, essentially, are trying to seal away. I already forgot the name. Ahriman. Ahriman, trying to seal away Ahriman after Elika's father released Ahriman to save his daughter from a vision that he saw, and after losing his wife already, kind of like that. Something along those lines, basically.
Yeah.
And you fight, again, like 4 bosses essentially that are, like the minions, like the higher minions of Ahriman, basically. And you basically go around traveling through 4 different sections of the game, 4 different sections of like your palace or the lands of their kingdom, essentially. And opening up more areas by healing the land, or essentially just opening up a teleport spot, basically.
Healing the land.
and then once you capture or pick up enough light spheres, light orbs, or light relics, whatever they call them, I forgot what they call them already. You can unlock these plate abilities that allow you to traverse different sections in different ways. Like the red plate allows you to launch yourself from a red plate to another red plate, right? The blue allows you to like kind of grappling hook from one area to another. But only, again, these are all like on specified tracks. They're kind of like you do these and they move you to a specific section in order, kind of thing. Not like it allows you free movement around the map. Yellow is like you take flight over this predetermined path and kind of dodge obstacles on the way, which is like, again, just so annoying. It's just so tedious. And the green, which is kind of like the yellow, but I enjoyed it at least a little bit more, even though it's just as annoying technically in some parts, where you run like across walls and shit, but like not in like the typical wall running thing. You're like running at like a full sprint. You're kind of you're basically playing Subway Runner.
Oh, okay, yes, I remember that. Yes, I do. That is coming back to me.
And then like eventually they combine all these different things into like kind of these little predetermined segments, which are kind of annoying because like it started dragging the gameplay a little bit.
Yeah,
but overall, it was like that, and then the regular gameplay, which is like you traversing with like parkour, right?
Yeah,
like free running kind of stuff. So if you ever played the original trilogy games, the Prince in those games did the same stuff: wall running, wall jumping, ledge, climbing up ledges and walls and stuff like that, and like running up walls and scaling walls that way, right? That's in the original trilogy. This is kind of like a slightly touched up version of that because now they have like rings that you can extend your runs with, or and you also have Elika herself extending your jumps, or saving you if you die, or if you fail a jump.
I also full disclosure, looked up old clips of the game because it's been very long since I've seen it, but seeing her save you from you failing a jumping puzzle or jumping off a platform was a nice memory to have, because she basically is just this angel going ahead grabbing you and saying, "Hey, buddy, come back up here."
I got the achievement, by the way, of the trophy anyway, of beat the game with her saving you under 100 times.
Ooh, nice.
Which is funny because in this game, because there's no like it's weird. This game doesn't allow you to die, if that makes sense, because like if you fall, she just saves you. There's no like true death in this game versus the previous games where you can rewind time using sand. But if you don't have enough time to save to rewind to a certain point you were technically safe, you will just die at that point, basically. You have to start from the previous checkpoint. This game does none of that. And even in combat, which kind of threw me off, that like if you get downed, you have a chance to recover, and if you fail that recovery, the QTE, she'll just save you. So there's no real way to fail this game, which like in the which allowed which kind of informed me in the beginning of my playthrough. Just slam my head against the wall, figure it out, or don't figure it out properly, just figure it out eventually.
Just brute force it.
Yeah, basically that's basically what I did, which is again kind of weird because again the previous game was more like a movement puzzle game. You know what I mean? This one just like I'm just gonna brute force this because it felt nicer in some ways, but like I can't even say like refined because like it's like because there are things I felt nicer, but there are things that I kind of miss in the previous one, like consequences. I miss those. I miss consequences.
I wouldn't be punished for
a little bit, yeah, because again, like it makes me actively think of what I'm doing when I'm playing the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it also speaks to games right now in today's age versus what some games were back then. That difference in because I feel like games today, especially a lot of the great ones, like will punish you or make you like, hey, you are going to suffer this consequence until you learn how to do this mechanic properly.
Yeah.
And
Dark Souls, right? Any of the Dark Souls games, Cuphead, you know what I mean? Like there's difficult games in general. There are difficult games still.
Yeah,
right?
and like even like games that aren't like who don't like put their stamp as like difficulty as like their thing. Like even other games like that are more mainstream, still give you that sense of consequence. Like until you figure this out properly, you're going to like. And it's like one thing I can think of is like the Jedi, not the survival
Jedi Outcast. The previous one. Jedi. What was Fallen Order?
Yeah, Fallen Order. Like because I got that game, I was playing it, and like this is like kind of the same deal as like until you approach this like situation properly, until you approach this fight properly. Like
I mean, that's basically a Star Wars Dark Souls. That's basically what that game is.
Yeah. So like things like that, and like so it's weird to be in a game where like actually you're fine, don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, there's the whole argument like nowadays that games are too easy, right? Because like there's no health counters, there's no life counters anymore. You know what I mean? Like, just restart from the last checkpoint. You know what I mean? I think because I grew up in the previous trilogy of Prince of Persia, and I have these preconceived like kind of like ideas about it. Yeah. It's like, oh no, if I fuck up, I fuck up. That's on me, and I start from the last checkpoint. I'm punished that way. That's why I have to think of the next way I approach this area. So that's kind of like a modern idea versus the old school idea of like lives versus kind of like having like kind of a little bit of flexibility to replay things. You know what I mean? Which again makes kind of sense in a game like the previous Prince of Persia game. In this game, it's just like, why is she just here to save you every time you do something bad? You know what I mean? I mean, again, it's especially of the time. You know what I mean? You could feel it of like, oh, this is absolutely like late 2000s, early 2010s game development mentality at the time, right? So I guess some specific points I wanted to touch upon in this one for here. Nolan North is the voice of the prince in this game, which is like... Okay, cool. Yeah, because the thing is, the previous one I think was a British dude, which is again still not great because the game is based in Persia, right? Yeah. But at least it's on the right side of the pond.
I mean, it could have been Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, Jesus Christ! We don't talk about that. But yeah, like Nolan North, and it's weird because again, the previous Prince was so much more serious. So hearing Nolan North being kind of quippy in this game honestly kind of threw me off a little bit. Like I didn't like it in the beginning, and like I kind of warmed up to it a little bit in the middle because it opened up the interaction with him and Elika. And then like towards the end, it was just like, man, like I just need him to not talk in this game anymore.
So anti new Prince, you were by the time you got like to a certain part, like you were done with his personality. Yeah,
because again, like the game is kind of serious and kind of dark in its storytelling, right? This is like a world-ending calamity event.
Yeah, it was basically you're in an apocalyptic setting. Yeah, more or less.
And then like he's here just quipping. You know what I mean? Or talking about, hey, don't look at my butt. You know what I mean? To Elika. You know what I mean?
I'm just like, didn't this girl just lose like her dad and all her people?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why is it so lighthearted? I mean, again, I appreciate a little bit of lightheartedness because obviously when a game is all doom and gloom, it's rough to get through. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like the it felt very late 2000s. You know what I mean? So the thing is, I played this on the PS3, right?
Okay.
Right. You can see right here. The PS3 right here.
Classic.
It reminded me of, and the thing is, Nolan North. All I could think of at the time, Uncharted. Another game where you climb up shit. You know what I mean? Like jump and hang from walls and like swing off of like railings and shit. And it's like this just feels like, because Nolan North was the voice of the Prince, it's like I don't know what came out first or not, you know, at this point, right? But like it felt like Nolan North was just doing more Uncharted.
So are you saying that the unnamed prince headcanon was actually Nathan Drake?
Yes,
that's his.
You know what, Prince of Persia? We're gonna steal the Assassin's Creed storyline here, and the Prince is Nathan Drake's great ancestor before.
Yeah, like, I mean, when this is where like I was like saying before when I pitched the game, it was like, oh, the theory was like, oh, there's two different princes,
yes.
right? And like one prince represents the light, one prince represents the dark, and like that may explain why there was such a personality difference with this prince, because he just represents a different side of the two sides of the coin,
I guess. Yeah, because he's not exactly as dark as the previous prince. The previous prince actually has like a whole thing where like he goes into like a demon form. So this is like this prince gets a little bit corrupted, but you kind of like cleanse yourself. You know what I mean? That's really about it. So that's really the most you kind of deal with.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he embraces
the darkness.
Yeah,
so it's a cool idea, and I kind of wish they did more with it. But like I think this game didn't help to swing me into that side, at least. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like a different game. They're trying to do something a little bit different, in my opinion. I think than like what the previous trilogy was already kind of setting up in the first place.
I kind of want to see when Uncharted came out. I'm pretty sure it was after.
Well, yeah, go ahead and look that up real quick for this. Well, I go see one of my specific notes that I want to touch upon here. Okay, so the Prince isn't super serious in this one. I just talked about that before. He's very much a smooth talking MC that was starting to be popular around this time. There you go. See, I acknowledged it there.
There you go.
That's my second note. That's probably within me playing the game for about maybe 30 minutes.
Oh, smooth talking MC.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's kind of quippy, kind of snarky a little bit, you know what I mean? Or, you know, not super serious. And it kind of threw me off. I was like, because the whole thing is with the previous game is much more serious. And again, this is a very serious tale. This is supposed to be the end of the world kind of deal. The combat feels familiar overall. I mentioned before that the previous Prince of Persia games essentially kind of established that like flow fighting style where you kind of move between enemy to enemy, and you know, basically what the Assassin's Creed games are now, basically, right? This felt a little bit similar, but confined to one-on-one fights. I didn't realize like until like, you know, maybe an hour in, I was like, oh, every fight's a one-on-one fight in this game. There's no like fighting swarms of enemies kind of thing here, which is cool. To some extent. Actually, let me skip down to the bottom of my notes because I did make a note of it. I think that the fact that the fights were were one-on-one, technically 2v1. You and Alec are technically on the same, are kind of fighting interchangeably, right? It made each fight more impactful, especially the boss fights. But I do miss the flow combat of the previous games because it kind of felt like smooth, you know what I mean? Like I can move from this guy, stun him, I move to this other guy, finish him off with my dagger, absorb his sand into my dagger, use that for time manipulation later on down the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's interesting thinking of, because you actually touched on it a little bit in terms of like the world and like how open it was versus like previous things, stuff like that, like the evolution of Ubisoft from like Prince of Persia
being a relatively linear game, a little bit of exploration.
Yeah, this is a little bit of exploration, and then Assassin's Creed just straight like a little bit like Assassin's Creed 1 really was. It was kind of linear but more open in terms of how you want to approach like going to the next path.
Yeah.
And then like it went full open world after that.
Yeah.
And then even in the combat system, just thinking of like, oh, you can fight multiple people. Actually, we're gonna do single fighting. Actually, we're gonna go back to fighting multiple people. And then later on they went back to single fighting.
Did they?
Like, well, like you can still fight multiple people, but it's like melee targeted combat. So like it's really best to try and split up fights.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like again, I'm so used to kind of that flow 1-on-5 kind of fighting thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it didn't feel bad. I will say the fighting in this game felt relatively good overall. They basically simplified it down to melee attacks with the prince and his sword. The princess Elika using her magic attacks. Using the gauntlet to grab and throw enemies into the air and to do air combos. And then X to do acrobatic, like jump over them kind of thing. And they do combos that way.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't do for the bosses anyway. And then blocking, like parrying specifically, which is like it felt more of like a rhythm game in terms of like how the fighting felt.
Yeah.
Once you got to like a certain point, you know what I mean? Kind of just remember how fast do their attacks come out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so because like, eventually it becomes like you hit them, they parry you, they swing back at you, you parry them, and basically becomes like a chain until one of you fails. Basically, and it's kind of like a timing check. Which again, at least it lets me feel more focused in it. But like I kind of miss being able to do more stuff than just kind of locked into what the game wants me to do. You know what I mean? Especially in a game that feels so free, like a Prince of Persia game, where I want to run around and do stuff and run on walls and jump and just do whatever the hell I want. This felt a little bit more like locked in, which again felt good. And it made fights more impactful, where you're not just mowing down like just goons. Yeah, exactly. Just I mean, even though it's cool and as acrobatic and stylish as it was, it's like okay, no, I'm only fighting really like one person every platform, right? And then 4 bosses. Well, 4 bosses, 4 mini bosses, and then like a main boss. You know what I mean? That's basically it. Which made those feel more, again, more. They felt like they were worth more because they were like mini bosses, and then the boss themselves kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I remember like when doing it at the time, I'm remembering how unique that fighting style was, with just like the timing of it and like the QTE like
kind of aspect to the fights.
And like it felt like it was missing something. I don't know what when I played it, but it was definitely like memorable as a fight like, mechanic.
Yeah, it felt good. Again, it just felt like I needed something. It felt like I needed something else too. Because again, I think again for me it's because I miss that flowy kind of fighting combat style. And then I also said here, the addition of Elika in combat kind of confuses me. I'm assuming she does more damage to specific enemies. And then a note, yes, different enemy combat states. That's what I'm. So like you realize, okay, certain enemies can only be damaged with certain attacks during different forms or stances they take. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like I think that's like the part that I was like, okay, now I'm in. Because before it just felt like, oh, I'm mashing square until they parry me and then I parry them. That's basically what I was doing until the combat states started coming. I was like, okay, this is like the last little bit that I needed to get me over the hump, basically. Let's see here, because in the original reboot trilogy, you had to use the dagger specifically to destroy and absorb sand monsters. So that's how you killed enemies. Because you could knock them down, they wouldn't die until you press, I think it was triangle, to use the dagger specifically to stab them and absorb their sand.
Yes.
So in this game, which also was I kind of realized here, is that you can kind of just end fights by just kicking enemies off the platform. By basically mashing melee until to knock them back, or Elika's attacks to knock them back. Once they hit the edge of the platform, you're like the prince just stabs them and kicks them off, and I'm like, oh, that's the end of that fight. Which is cool because at least I can if I'm just not in the mood to fight, I can just end the fight real quick.
You're just trying to I'm over this.
Yeah, I mean, especially during the middle part where I was like, I got to make sure I finish this game before. Let me catch up a little bit of ground because I spent too much time exploring and grabbing all of the little light orbs.
Yeah,
it's like let me grab back a little bit of ground.
So you just start shoving people off the edge of the platform.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to deal with this fight.
Just pushing them off.
Yeah, which turns out to be a major mechanic in most of the boss fights later down the line. Especially with the warrior, who his only way of you killing him is by you kicking him off the ledge.
Yeah, it's racking up those ring out victories.
Yeah, basically, that's all it was. Let's see here.
Just as a note, Uncharted did come out in 2007.
There we go. So it came out a year before.
And
Uncharted for me was impactful. I loved Uncharted. I was a PS3 not apologist, but I was like, this thing is sick. You know what I mean? I bought it and how kind of people are for the Dreamcast, where the Dreamcast is the greatest console that came out too soon kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I was like, the PS3 is expensive. I get that, but it's dope, right? Everyone else was getting 360s, so I had to be the guy trying to defend the PS3, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I was like, early on, I got Uncharted. I was like, this game fucking rules, and Metal Gear Solid 4 was awesome. You know what I mean? Then and I played the Infamous games. You know what I mean? I played a lot of those guys, and I was like, I had to swear, yo, guys, no, trust me. PlayStation has really good games, guys. Please trust me on this one.
You'll see. You're all see.
Yeah, basically. And then so that's the thing. Uncharted imprinted so much on me, and I think that's why I felt so a little bit off with the Prince in this one, because again, it's also voiced by Nolan North, another Prince that does wall climbing and scaling in these massive, locations of really dramatic set pieces and stuff, right? But it's Uncharted just does it better.
Yeah.
That's basically, I think, that what my issue was with the prince, why it kind of threw me off of why I didn't like him initially in the first place.
Yeah. So so when you say like Uncharted does it better, like you mean like the character work with like Nathan Drake versus the prince in this one?
Yeah. So like in Uncharted, the biggest focus that I like to tell everybody is that like how good the dialogue feels in that game. Him and Sully, him and Elena, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's very quick, like very like, like it's like friends talking. They kind of bounce off each other in terms of energy, right?
Yeah.
In this game, it's more just like, because there's not as many people, it's only him and Elika.
Yeah.
It feels more like they're reading a script. You know what I mean? It feels more rigid for the most part. Again, until you get to some of those, like, because I did a decent amount of like talk to Elika. You just press L2 or L1 to just talk to Elika and you can explain more of the story.
I'm glad you went for the extra dialogue
option. A little bit, yeah, no, absolutely. Because again, I'm like, oh no, that's cool. I'm sure they had him do a lot of stuff. They did, and it also because it added a lot more lore. You know, it talked about her family and her father and her mother, and why she has the power of Ormaz and why they're fighting Ahriman, right? And then again, some of those quips, there's a couple quips that like they kind of get a little bit flirtatious, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So they do some of this stuff, and some of those felt a little more natural, but for the most part, early on, it just felt very stiff because again, it's like, oh, why am I even here with you, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like it felt kind of like too convenient that like the prince runs into the princess, basically. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like that, basically, for me.
Got it.
Let's see here. So I said before, the semi-open area gameplay is kind of a cool idea. Still relatively linear without having to worry about where to go next, but still having the freedom to choose to go about however you want to go first. Because technically, from my understanding, you could fight any of the bosses in whatever order you want. Because all of your abilities are essentially locked behind the orbs, and you can unlock those in whatever order you want to. And you need 2 abilities to get through each individual gate to fight the boss, basically, or the mini bosses. Essentially, like, oh, this is kind of sick. This is again kind of flexible. Lets you do however you want, play it however you want, explore everything if you wanted to do all that. And there you go. It's a really, really cool idea. Let's see. Yeah. So the collectathon gameplay is kind of nostalgic. It reminded me of like like Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Daxter. You know what I mean? Like was it like Banjo-Kazooie, the Donkey Kong 64 game, where like, you just go grab everything. That's just the orbs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just 100% it. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of fun for me to just go out and explore that kind of aspect of the game again.
I think it's like 400 light orbs, something along those 400 something.
1,001.
1,001?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think that's a reference, right, to Alibaba? Arabian Nights?
It may be.
Is that 1,001?
Yeah.
I want to say that's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and look that up real quick.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't sound like an idiot.
Or, no, I think that is a reference, but...
1,001 Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
Yes, 1,001.
Wow.
I ended up around 678. Because again, I had to finish the game. So,
jeez, I didn't realize it was that many. I thought it was like 400.
Yeah, because I had all the abilities, I was like, oh, I know how to get all these now. You know what I mean? But I was like, I gotta finish the game soon. So let me just get around with my business and finish it. I probably, because I'm me and I've gotten like 63% of the trophies already. I'm like, I gotta finish this one.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'm that kind of guy.
You're gonna go back. You're just like, I gotta get the. We can't fight. We can't fight yet. We gotta get the orb.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But my family.
Yeah. Your civilization will be fine. We'll get there eventually. Let's see here. What did I just say? The orbs. Oh, the collectathon thing. I spent a lot of my time tracking a lot of those light orbs. And I understand it is also like a mechanic to also allow you to explore and allow you to properly explore the movement mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And it also gets me to like really explore the areas that I've really been in. It does become a little bit tedious when they start getting attached to the movement plates because I'm like, let me just grab the orbs that I want to by like figuring out this little tiny movement puzzle. You know what I mean? It's not exactly hard for me to figure it out. Just let me just do the thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Here's a note. I'm assuming that I don't need to collect all the light fragments, but I'm assuming there's a trophy or achievement for it, and there is, which is why I have to go back. I can't stop.
Can you imagine if they put all those light orbs in the game and there's no achievement?
I'd be so angry.
It's like, oh, nice job, you did it. Cool.
A major. This isn't in my notes, and I think because I didn't have to put it in my notes, the art style is sick in this game. because
the art style,
it feels a little bit cell shady, kind of like watercolory. You know what I mean? But like not cartoony, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because the previous games was very like kind of dark and gloomy and kind of mostly grays and for the previous trilogy games. But again, like the prince has like a red and blue scarf on his head, and his design is mostly brown, but it pops against everything else. Is kind of more brown or green in some areas, or like you get into the city and it's like everything's kind of blue and gold, and it's like, oh, this game is gorgeous.
Yes,
for a game that's again 2008 or so, it looks really, really pretty. Like the design was very well done
for like a game I played a long time ago, and like one of the things that has stuck with me in the entirety of my life is the artwork and the visuals of that game. Like the character designs, the layout of the land, the colors of the land, the colors of like the powers, like Elika when she uses her powers, like the
just
accents,
this piercing blue white light kind of thing.
Yeah, like look, it just everything complements each other, which is why, like I say, the artist in the introduction in the game, because I feel like, and like I think I mentioned this in the beginning too, like the art of the game is just so like it's just so memorable.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because again, like I think I can still picture the old Prince now, and it was like, okay, he's just a Prince wearing a blue shirt and white pants. White pants? Yeah, white pants. And the shirt gets more and more destroyed as the game goes on. Like he loses sleeves, he loses his shirt eventually, and it's like, okay, so but he's like a rugged war prince at that point. You know what I mean?
He's kind of like he's just Gokuing it.
Yeah, but in this game, it's like, no, he's a very specific image that they wanted for the prince in this game. Like he's wearing his brown attire, the blue red scarf headdress thing, kind of like really pops against it. And his sword, his scimitar is like kind of like a bronzish, kind of like lighter brown, really pops. And again, Elika's wearing this like white shirt, you know what I mean? Her skin's her skin's a little like glowy kind of as well too. And then all the magic, it's like piercing white blue kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very aesthetically pleasing for this game. Reminded me a little bit of like Okami. I don't know if you ever heard of that game or not.
I have not.
It's a game where you play as like a wolf. It's like a Japanese wolf god.
Oh wait,
like a white dog with like a spinning wheel on your back kind of thing. With like a spinning like magic wheel on your back kind of thing. And you get it's kind of like you're painting, like you use your tail to attack stuff or to bite stuff. It looks like Japanese like Eastern brush strokes.
I think I have heard of that game.
Yeah, okay. It reminded me a little bit of that aesthetically wise, because again it's not cell shaded, but it's watercolory inspired kind of thing.
Which it feels like you're watching a painting in
motion.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I saw from this game. And again, like they weren't doing faces bad around this time either. You know, around this time they were starting to kind of understand how to do facial expressions. There's still that uncanny valley, of course, but like. It's like it's not bad, you know what I mean. It looks a little stiff for the most part. Like Elika's face looks a little creepy sometimes when she looks directly kind of towards the camera. Like especially because she has that white glow to her because of her magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the prince, kind of like it's funny. I see the prince talking, and then like he'd have like his face would be scrunched up, and then right at the end, his face would come back to a regular smile. And I'm like, it's so weird. They're so close to figuring out faces around this time.
I will say I think, if I'm not mistaken, the art for the prince, like his wardrobe and everything, was very particular for a reason. The imagery of what he was wearing alluded to like the story of his character to a certain degree and what he was supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken. But that's why it's like the art is also significant in another way. It's like another way of them telling the story of the character.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, because again, he's not exactly a prince in this game. Like story wise, he's a Tomb Raider, tomb robber, kind of dastardly kind of a guy.
Yeah,
not like sleazy, underhanded a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He seems like just a wanderer / like.
Yeah, like philandery kind of guy. He talks about like having handmaidens and all this other stuff, and kind of being like I could have my own harem, and like I could have a room full of gold, and and like Elika like ribs him for it, you know what I mean? And then it's like, he's like, this guy's kind of a scumbag, isn't he? Like, a little bit.
It's like, why am I following this guy? Is this the best we have?
This is the hero? Okay, sure,
all right.
But he does have he has like an air of being the hero still. You know what I mean? Even though he has like these weird, kind of like not favorable traits of like being like a main protagonist character. You know what I mean? Which again, like it's kind of like a part of interaction with him and Elika because of that stuff. Which kind of, it's funny because of it. She ribs him for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually speaking of which, yeah, here there's a little bit of like adult mature humor, like quote unquote adult stuff during the conversations. You know what I mean? Like again, like he there's one point where he asked Elika about if she has ever had a boyfriend.
Just straight out with it, like
yeah, you know he does. Like, that's the thing. To which he replies that she's very well read. So that means no. That's kind of funny. You know what I mean? And then he replies something along the lines of, "There are some things better learned through experience." And I'm like, okay, too far. Gross. This is a game for children.
I again want to reiterate that this is a post-apocalyptic area of the world where a demon has attacked and taken over and murdered a bunch of people, and he's trying to get the last survivor to be his booty call. Just want to reiterate that this is the hero.
Priorities in order, baby.
This is the hero of the game. This is the best game has to offer.
I mean, yeah, like again, there's some stuff that's like, and just like, not that it doesn't sit right with me or whatever. Like I love like adult mature humor. It's just perfectly fine. It just feels cringy. I think that's the issue. And again, is it because it's like 2008? I don't think so. Because again, Uncharted is again around the same time, and because I think the delivery was much more natural and like just flowed better. You know what I mean? And I think it didn't feel as like gross when I hear dialogue in Uncharted. Like the Uncharted's like, so in Uncharted, like the voice acting is like a highlight for me. This game is kind of like, oh, it's there. Unfortunately, because again, I like Nolan North a lot. I don't know who Elika's voice actress was, but she's really good. I like her a lot for the most part of this game. She's a little serious, like she's a lot serious actually. For most of the game. Because she has the weight of the world on her shoulders, right? While the prince kind of is like, I'm here for the ride, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a sense of duty with her, like.
Yeah, so she's really good. Like I like her voice acting a lot. It's just that, like, again, it just feels like the tone is just not there for like where it needs to be earlier on in the game. You know what I mean? It just feels like it takes too long to finally get to that point where everything feels super serious. Because again, it is the end of the world.
Her voice actress is Carrie Walgren.
Pretty sure I've heard the name before. Does she have like an IMDb of?
She was in Kung Fu Panda and Entangled.
Who is she in? Wait, who's she in Kung Fu Panda?
If I'm trying to find it right now. She was. It's not telling me. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go to IMDb. But yeah, she was in Kung Fu Panda and Entangled.
Okay, cool.
But yeah. So like you mentioned, like, you don't think it's like the time period like a 2008. I think it's less. I also think it's less about the time period. I think it's more about the audience who is playing the game. So like I was 18 at the time when I played the game, right? So like random hero like character making a like joke of trying to bed this girl. In like
there's like a clearly attractive princess in the world, right?
Yeah, like it's like like that's pretty funny.
Like, I guess in the time, it's funny then.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's because I'm an old bitter man at this point.
Not an old bitter man.
I mean you're also like I'm an old bitter single man. There you go. You want me to spell it out for you, John?
Oh my god! Why are you doing this to yourself? That's not the. Oh, don't cry.
I'm so alone.
No. Oh, jeez. Oh, okay. Let me find tissues. Hold on. No, I think just like being in a different mind,
hero.
Yeah,
kind of wanted the MC to be kind of a cool guy.
Yeah,
I think. In the first place.
Yeah, I think that's it. And that maybe like I never played the first Uncharted. I only started in Uncharted 2. I saw gameplay of the first Uncharted mainly because like the gameplay to me was good, but like. I didn't want to go through hours of shooting people and just shooting people. Yeah,
well, I mean, Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2 is actually like a world of difference. Like, it's much more refined in Uncharted 2.
Yeah, but like, when I think about like, oh, those type of quippy like type of heroes and stuff like that, my thinking is like, today as adults and in this day and age, like we would hear that and be like, why are you doing that right now?
Now it's kind of cringy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
But like, back then, it was all the rage. It was like, a lot of the games were.
Yeah, you're like, oh, look at this, like, charismatic, like hero who's handsome and like knows how to talk to girls.
Yeah, I guess that's probably like the audience. You're right. I think it might be like an audience thing at this point.
Yeah.
Again, we're all bitter men at this point. So it's clearly not going to stick for us as hard as
and I don't know how the dialogue for like Uncharted 1 would hold up.
I'm telling you, man, Uncharted absolutely holds up better.
It probably is there like does who's the blonde girl in Uncharted?
Elena?
Yeah, is she in the first Uncharted
Yes.
at all? She is. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I'm telling you, like the cast in every one of the Uncharted games, fantastic. So if you ever get the chance to play through all of them,
Oh, I've played through all of them outside of just the first one. I played through every one.
play the first one. I mean, again, there's a section that sucks in that game, but like overall, the game holds up very well. And again, in terms of dialogue, again, just to show you, 2007, a year before this game comes out, they've done good dialogue with Nolan North in it.
Do you think they approached Nolan North and was like, "Hey, like,
You want to do the character?
yeah, do you want to just do Nathan Drake?"
I'm assuming that's probably that's the thing, right? Because he sounds exactly like Nathan Drake.
It's just Nathan
he doesn't do anything different. He sounds exactly like Nathan Drake, which again throws me up because again he's supposed to be Persian. You know what I mean? So like something, throw a slight accent on.
Wait. Is it confirmed that he's Persian though, or that he's just a wanderer? Just
the game's called Prince of Persia.
Okay, but does it say the character? Does the character say, or is it?
I guess technically no. They never exactly established that he's Persian.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, we don't know.
Yeah,
Prince of Persia, like he's not a prince. Like
fine, whatever.
It's a Prince of Persia game with no prince.
Yeah, he was offered to be the prince, but yeah, that's fine. Whatever. Whatever, John.
There's no prince, and then there may be no Persia.
There's no Persia. Persia's not real.
I listen, okay? I'm putting the pieces. Maybe they were building to that.
That's a conspiracy.
Maybe eventually they were going to introduce Persia, and then in the third game they were going to introduce a prince, and then they were like, "See, we did it. It was all a slow burn to get to that point."
Oh, we get back on track here. There's here. Okay, here, yeah. So back to the combat. Actually, I mentioned before. So once combat gets a little bit more complicated with the different melee and magic attacks, with the stances of the enemies, right?
Yes.
That's when it got satisfying. That's when it took me. That's exactly there is when I started enjoying the fighting a lot more.
Yes.
And here I found it more and more mind numbing. The more I received the movement abilities. Again, the flying is meh. Basically, it's the worst one of the four. Because you're basically on rails and you're kind of just dodging the pillars and shit while you're flying around. It's okay, fine. You screw it up, you have to start the whole thing over.
Was that at all difficult for you? Like, period?
Yeah, because I was falling asleep in my chair. Oh, God. Like I literally fell asleep at one point during one of the on rail flying sections.
Okay, wow.
Like I was like, damn, this part is boring. Like, especially because like again, like sometimes you do the section with like 4 or 5 panels in a row, like the plates in a row.
Yeah.
It's like okay, I do a red launch into a blue grappling hook one, into 2 yellow flying sections, and then a green wall run section. And like during the yellow sections is like when my brain would want to turn off. And I literally fell asleep during one of them. And I was like, man, this is not good. Because I think, again, like, I don't like the fact that the game, again, it's a reboot, right?
Yeah.
But it's a game from a series that had movement as its priority.
Yeah.
Why would you put me on rails?
They wanted to keep that linear feel. I don't know. I wasn't in the room, but
you get what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
Like this is like Prince of Persia, like even the old Prince of Persia game, the 1980s one. Like it's basically Pitfall for the most part, right? Like, you're jumping over spikes and platforming and shit. It's a 2D platformer basically. It's like again, movement is such a big part of this game. Why would you take control out of my hands? Like me, the player. Why would you make me do the boring shit?
I mean, if I had a theory, they were
trying to make these big cinematic movement things.
Yeah, and I think they were trying to just expand because, movement was great. Parkour was great in the first set of games.
But how else can we change?
Yeah, can we expand that a bit?
I guess, but even them just doing the rings or or having the prince using the gauntlet to slide down walls because he can just slam the nails of his gauntlet into the wall and slow fall down, that's sick. That's great. But the plate sections were just not my jam. Those were like a hard miss for me.
If they took out the lightning, because he said the lightning plate was the one that you liked the least, right?
The yellow flying one.
Yellow, whatever. If they took out that plate, but the other 3 plates stayed in the game, how much would that change it for you?
See, here's the thing. I think even the plates in general don't really matter. Because they're kind of, you know what it felt like to me? It felt like they were loading the rest of the map when I was doing those weird movement sections, which they might be. Because we're talking about a PS3.
Yeah.
And Xbox 360.
Oh,
They
no.
might be doing that.
Oh no, my whole world just crumbled down.
I mean, it's weird because I'm trying not to think about it with like a modern sensibility, right? We know
Yeah.
we know the tricks that they use now on consoles, and even on PC, right? The tricks on how they don't have to render the entire world around you at all times.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, okay, this is semi pre-rendered, semi like in engine kind
Yeah,
of thing, right? Because like, okay, the prince getting launched to like a platform or to a wall, but he has to do a small wall run to the next plate. So it's like, okay, we're still an engine for I think we are anyway. But like, I'm not. But here's the thing: during every one of those where there's multiple like red plates, blue plates, yeah, just those two at least, right? I'm left hand is off the controller. I'm just mashing triangle on my right hand because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And maybe hit circle so he grabs a ring to like extend the wall run. That's really it. I think that's why I felt so brain dead during those sections. And again, I think it's like a modern sensibility that now I'm like, yeah, like I was like, I think this is what they're trying to do. I think they're just loading up the next section of the map.
Oh no, my entire world's crumbling. I was like, oh no, I thought they were.
Sorry, John.
I thought they were just trying to build out the.
Well,
I mean, you could be right. I mean, it could all. I mean,
they were cool and cinematic in some aspects, but for the most part, it felt like they were kind of just like moving me around to a different part of the map because. Like the flying one specifically bothered me because like, oh, I need to go to this platform that I can see from once I touch the yellow platform, I'm gonna fly up and I can just land right on that platform. But no, I go on this like long looping thing where I'm going around everything and like I go away from it and then I'm like the platform like, oh, here's me flying up. Here's the platform I need to get to right here. And then I fly by it and I just keep going and I'm like, you could have stopped right there.
Lakan, excuse them for trying to add some spice to your game, okay?
Don't put me on rails in a movement game. That's the thing that bothers me.
I mean, listen, they could have just made elevators for you if they were loading new levels, and then you could have just been riding an elevator for a long time. Yeah, it could have been that.
Would have been fine with that, honestly.
Oh, God.
There were sections where I had to do puzzles to unlock an elevator, and I was like, oh, this is great. Because first off, I like puzzles. And then like the elevator's oh cool, the elevator, I'm done. I got it. I can just go up now. Done.
Okay. anything beyond the plate?
Well, yeah. So like the plates again, they did some stuff that was like kind of cinematic. Right? They did some really cool dramatic angles to like see you to kind of show you this like the size of the map you're technically playing upon, right? Because you launch from like this one wall to this wall from the complete other side of the area you just came in through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these big cinematic things are kind of cool. Like they're cool ideas, but I think they're just lacking. Like the collapsing of the spire or the breaking down the balloons. You know, after fighting the corrupted. You know, after fighting the alchemist or the hunter, they're kind of cool because it's kind of like an escape. You know, get back into solid land kind of thing, right? And again, it's just like it's a cool idea, but it felt like they were trying to do the big set piece thing that Uncharted did better. Because that's a big thing for Uncharted. Again, I'm making a lot of connections here to like Uncharted in the previous Prince of Persia game, and even Assassin's Creed to some aspect, right? But like, that's the thing. That's the games you have to compare it to at the time. Like, there's a reason why I think there's a reason why people stopped playing Prince of Persia games and started playing Assassin's Creed games because they had more freedom to do whatever they wanted. And then in terms of like a more linear game, you played Uncharted because it's like the better voice acted, or maybe better written overall, I guess, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And I think that's why a lot of people kind of fell off this series. I think later as the series went on, and like maybe that's why Ubisoft stopped caring as much about the Prince of Persia series.
Do you think this is like hypotheticals and stuff?
Yeah, this is all my opinion. Yeah. These are my thoughts.
Do you think Ubisoft's answer to Uncharted was trying to make a reboot of the Prince of Persia trilogy starting with this game, and when they saw that this game, while like successful, like while popular, wasn't anywhere close to what Uncharted like received in terms of like critical acclaim or anything, they were like, oh, let's pivot into something else, learning from what we got from this game, the feedback we got from this game, and make another game that's going to probably challenge the Uncharted series better and stuff. Because Uncharted in my mind, Uncharted and Assassin's Creed are parallels for Naughty Dog and like Ubisoft. Like those games, like you have, especially when Ezio came out, like Uncharted 2 was a massive thing. Assassin's Creed 2 was a massive thing.
Yeah.
Both of those, like, Uncharted was already popular by the time it got to 2, but like,
so here's the thing: Uncharted 1 actually was a surprise. They didn't expect anything from that game, and that game blew up over time. Like, or not like it's weird to say blew up over time, but like it was like kind of popular, and then everyone hopped onto it like a little bit. I think, from my understanding, a little bit later after it came out. Like, it was like not a long wait, but out of nowhere it just gained traction, and then bam, now it's the big game. And again, it was meant to be like a one-off.
Yeah.
But because of how big it blew up afterwards, it was like, okay, well, now we got the okay to do number 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So kind of same thing again for like Assassin's Creed, where like Assassin's Creed 1 was kind of like the blueprint of a good game is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
and people liked it. Like, people liked it a lot.
I played the first one as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I also played the first Assassin's Creed, you know, on the PS3. So it's like I have like this weird like, okay, I've gotten this game. I've got 2 games from Ubisoft. One of which is more linear, one of which is a little bit more open worldy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, can you have both of these games in the same space?
Yeah.
And then clearly, I think that Ubisoft was just like, okay, we're going to brush this one aside and focus on the open world game.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. And yeah, you're right. The Assassin's Creed 2 and the Ezio trilogy is a major sticking point, or a major moment for Ubisoft in terms of like allowing this game to like, okay, this is going to define the next set of games we're going to be making for the company, basically. I think that's what it is.
Got it. Okay. So, because I mean, yeah, you're drawing a lot of comparisons to Uncharted, and like from the character work from Nolan North to like kind of the gameplay a little bit.
Yeah, because obviously, like, you're not running on walls in Uncharted. You're scaling stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, it's not really parkour. He's
kind of like, it's just verticality,
vertical and rock climbing. Essentially, is kind of what he's doing. Versus in Assassin's Creed is more like parkour, where you're kind of like you're running up to the rooftops and jumping from rooftop to rooftop. Where this game, you're kind of doing that as well too, but more along the lines of like wall running and flow running, but like it's along like a path you're allowed to traverse. Versus Assassin's Creed, where you're allowed to basically run anywhere you want.
Yeah.
You know
True,
what I mean?
yeah, like, yeah, Assassin's Creed's more free runner, Uncharted is more, for the lack of a better term, like Indiana Jones. Where
Yeah, well, that's the point of it.
Yeah, obviously, you know.
And then this game sits kind of right in the middle of both, so it doesn't do either one particularly well.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That being said, the animation looks fantastic for this game. You know what I mean? Because you get to see this kind of flowy style to it, the game.
Yeah.
But you don't feel like you're doing it because everything feels like you're kind of on a predetermined path.
Nice, okay.
If that makes sense.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think that's probably like my biggest complaint of like, again, it doesn't feel like it wants to be as free as it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to make a game like to reboot a series in the way that they did for the original Prince of Persia series.
And you're talking about like in comparison of like the movement from the original
those games, which those are groundbreaking at the time. Like, you know, wall running those games is insane.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And the flow combat thing, again, like Assassin's Creed. Batman games, you know, like a lot of those games took their combat system from the Prince of Persia remake, like the original, the PlayStation 2 trilogy. So like that was a kind of groundbreaking, and even in Prince of Persia 2, Warrior Within. Yeah, Warrior Within. Yeah, I think that was the second one. So like wall running and jumping off that wall to grab onto a ledge on the opposite side. That was huge back then. Here you do it in this game. You do it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like okay. So now it's no longer as groundbreaking. What do they do for this game? Okay, so they add the plates. They add the wall extending the wall runs. But then it's weird because in the Two Thrones in Prince of Persia 3, you have your demon form, which you can kind of use like, you know, these kind of like, is it kind of like chains?
I've seen gameplay
so it's like,
of that.
You use that to extend your wall runs as well. So it's like it's kind of there already as well. So it's like it's hard for them to, I think, like to really like one up and reiterate again in a way that's different and meaningful, but still stays true to what kind of the movement already kind of feels like in the previous game. You know, you know, I'm not trying to shit on this game.
No.
I enjoyed this game for the most part. My overall experience was pretty good.
Yeah,
there's moments that I felt like I just wish there was more to this game. That like, that I wish that I think that if this game was perceived a little bit better, I think there might have been like another game in the series. Well, there is technically another game in this series. It was on the DS.
Yeah.
But obviously that's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
But like there could have been more to this series that could have expanded upon and really, really fleshed out how this could have been different from or being like a proper upgrade in terms of movement from the previous trilogy and still been different, but like stand alone from Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I wanted out of this game.
Got it. And you may be just echoing what the sentiments were at the time.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, because we said the game was relatively well received.
Yeah.
But people said that the music was good, and the music was pretty good. To me, it felt a little bit generic.
I was going to ask about the music to you.
Yeah, it felt a little bit generic. Like it kind of just felt like big sweeping epic kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like a little bit like Lawrence of Arabia kind of ish. You know what I mean?
Oh, Lawrence of Arabia,
a little bit,
man.
But kind of like a lazy knockoff of it. like here, I'm gonna show you, man. Again, I hate that I'm making these constant rollbacks to it. But like Uncharted's music rules. Like I love this sense of adventure that Uncharted kind of like kind of brings for you. In this game, there's a little bit of that like mysticism and kind of like adventure-ish kind of thing. There's a couple pieces that I specifically enjoy in this game. Usually the more tender music, very very pretty. I like you, especially once you heal an area.
Yeah,
very fluttery.
Oh,
kind of
beautiful.
Love that orchestration. But then, like a lot of like the regular stuff, when you're kind of traversing through that little desert hub area and kind of coming back into the main area, it's like, It's like I didn't even really notice it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like when I would hear that like stuff when you refreshed or healed the plate or healed the portal, whatever it's called. That part was like that really like I love that stuff. The music there was really nice.
I mean, I think it's fair that you're like, I think it's fair that you're comparing it to Uncharted and comparing it to like the original Prince of Persia, because like, it's just what it was competing against at the time. Like that was just the environment it was in. And like, maybe if that game comes out at a different time, that's like prior to those games or something, like those games come out later and after, like maybe we're talking a different story about how this game is received or something like that.
Yeah.
But
if this game came out where the previous trilogy was, this game would be groundbreaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of the wall running stuff and all this other stuff. Because again, like the previous trilogy was the first game to really do that stuff.
Yeah.
In this game, they're throwing a lot of those previous ideas already in there, and because they just combine all the movement stuff from 1, 2, and 3 into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form, and change the combat. It's just that like I think I'm trying not to look at this too much nostalgia or like through my own preconceived notions of the game. But the thing is, I did play the previous trilogy relatively recently. Like we're talking like a couple months ago. Like it's still relatively fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I banged through one Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, Warrior Within, and Two Thrones like recently. Like so, it's still kind of fresh. And it's like, man, like there were so many things that I really enjoyed in those games. Something that I didn't, of course. No games are perfect, right?
Yeah.
But like, it's like I just wish that there was like something that defined this game a little bit more. To be like a proper like new version or new modernized idea or reboot of those games in the first place.
And instead it felt stop me if I'm putting words in your mouth, like it felt like probably like generic as
a little bit. In some aspects it definitely did. Because it just felt like, oh, they just made this game again. Like in the same way that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 is still the same technically as Call of Duty 4. It's built upon the same foundation.
Yes.
With some quality of life upgrades and like a couple new ideas.
Yeah.
But it's like I wish there was more.
Well, my only thing, just to go with your comparison, my only thing is like, because like going off what I'm hearing from you in terms of like the old Prince of Persia to this one was like, it sounds like the game did add some stuff.
Yeah, it did.
But it didn't keep some of the things that you liked from the original, and then the things that it added didn't always hit.
No.
And so it's like you end up with, in totality, maybe a lesser experience than maybe what you got from the first trilogy, just because like, oh, there's some things that are just not there that I really enjoyed in the first part, and then like I like what they tried to do, and I like got into a little bit what they tried to do, but all in all, it's just like the new combat, cool, like, but didn't really hit for me completely.
The fact that I found a way to game it on my 2 fights in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay.
And it's like the new like moving mechanics, like, okay, it's different, like, okay, like I get the gameplay loop, but
I had something very similar already in the previous game.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't do enough to change it.
Yeah, like, things like, and when I think about like the Modern Warfare comparison you made, it's like, sometimes you've already made the game. Like you've made the game that's going to, sell and everything. And it's like, all you have to do is just tweak like quality of life things, or like a couple of things that were just like annoyance to the fan base and stuff like that, and just keep basically everything the same because the game was well received overall.
Yeah.
And like I think of like Warzone between 1 and 2, like when they first came out with Warzone 2, they changed a bunch of stuff in it. And that stuff eventually they ended up reneging on the changes because it was just stuff that people didn't really ask for.
Yeah.
It was just things that like, oh, they already got the formula they needed for the game to be popular.
Yeah, just fix the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the weird thing, because it sounds now that I'm hearing you trying to sum up what I just said this and been ranting about for this last hour and a half or so. Mm-hmm. It sounds like I'm the average gamer now who's like, I want the same thing but different and better, which is unfortunate, right? But that is kind of like it's kind of like all I needed from this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think the thing with games in general, and
there's a formula that I enjoyed in the previous Prince of Persia games. That's what I wanted, and just them to expand on it and make it better.
Yeah, I just want a better version of the last game.
Yeah, again, it sounds like every other generic dumb, gamer rot brain at this point, right? Yeah. But like, no, it's like there's something that I specifically enjoyed with these, but other games have done it. You know what I mean? Uncharted 1 through 4, and technically including like Lost Legacy and all that stuff. Yeah. Right? But the game just expanded more and more upon those things, and just kind of did it better every time.
Yeah.
Mostly every time. I think 2 is like the highlight of the whole series for me, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably 2.
Yeah, 2 and
3 probably is
it was good. But it was like it just.
3 is probably the
1's the lowest.
Yeah, 1 is the lowest just because
of gameplay.
Yeah,
it's an older game.
Yeah, but 3 is probably of the like sequels. 3 is probably the lowest one.
Yeah, but even then, it's still like
it's a good good game.
But you see what I mean, though. Yeah, like, everyone essentially got better as it went on, including obviously up until 4 and Lost Legacy and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. In this game, it's like and I know it's a reboot. They don't want to do the exact same game.
Yeah,
but like, and it's a retelling of a different story and all that other stuff, and. I wish there's just something missing from like what the experience that I wanted out of this game in the first place. Again, I do take back now what I say of this being the bad one, right? Like, I don't think that you're good. I don't think this is like a bad game. I just think that like my statement still somewhat stands because of the fact that I do believe that the other games are a better experience overall. Now, am I being a little bit unfair that I'm weighing a trilogy versus a single game that never got a sequel? Like a sequel proper, you know what I mean? Maybe. I'm being a little bit unfair, and I'm not trying to be as nostalgic as much as I possibly can, but I think that is the truth, though. Like, I think that those were so groundbreaking at the time, and that those left such an impact because of how big they were. You know what I mean? There's a reason why, like, when Ubisoft announced that they were doing a Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, like an insane number of people were like, "Holy shit! This game was my childhood. Yeah, I'm so excited for this game." Right? And then they canceled it, or basically something like an indefinite wait is at this point now, right? And people are like upset. And yeah, it sucks because like they were waiting for this game. There's a reason why that game is so like it's such like a staple in like people's memories of like video games because it was like a big moment in video games at the time. You know what I mean? And like I'm trying not to be unfair to it, but I just think that like those did technically do something more than this game currently did.
I think to just put a button on like that whole point. I think this game, if it came out without the other Prince of Persias, without Uncharted, this game is maybe like probably an 8 out of 10. Like without those as like comparison and stuff like that. And because those games exist around the same time that this game came out, it knocks it down to like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Yeah, just off of that alone.
Yeah, I don't like doing numerical scales.
No, I'm just going off of like.
No, I'm saying like I'm saying like I don't like doing numerical scale stuff either. But I would give this game like a solid 7. Like again, it's like a 5 for me. Like a lot of people say like 5 is like a failing, right? Like no, 5 for me is like true neutral. Like I could have played it, could have not played it. It doesn't change my opinion on it whatsoever. This game's like a 7. I enjoyed the game overall. It's just that I wish there are things that I would fix and just do to make this game theoretically play and more enjoyable. Basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's there seems like there's not like a ton the game does wrong per se. It's more of like there's something else that needs to be.
I don't have the impact or the it factor that I wanted out of this game, kind of thing.
Yeah, it feels hollow
a little bit.
Yeah,
but again, like I think from my understanding, your explanation to me, again, I haven't done a whole lot of digging yet. I'm going to like do more research outside of this afterwards, like. What were their plans on trying to do after?
Yeah, and like this is mostly like theories and like people who like really up in the lore of like the first game and like looked into the second. I don't know what their real plan was at the end of everything. What they were really gonna do another trilogy?
Well, I mean, they made another game, Forgotten Sands, which is technically related to the first trilogy. So, and I still haven't played that one. Yeah, and I don't know if that's a bad one or not. I'm assuming it's probably bad as well because I've never heard anybody talking about it.
Maybe one of those I mean, it could be what's that game that Ubisoft came out with that like no one really bought, but like it was actually really great. I think it was like Beyond. Is it Beyond Two Souls or something? No, not Beyond Two Souls. No. It was two something. It had something too, but it was a game that like it's like extremely good, but like it just got passed. It got buried like when it came out. So
there's like a couple more things I just want to touch upon here before we spent a lot of time like actually like having like a actual discussion about something and me just like listing just what I did and didn't like about the game. Because again, there were things that I did enjoy and I wanted to expand on a couple of things. Major negative for me here.
There's some things I did like about the game immediately. Go for it. What's up?
The fact that there's an epilogue afterwards, which is a DLC, which you can't get anymore because the game is fucking dead on 360 and on PS3.
So I think we touched on this a little bit prior about like this being a thing.
Like more stuff at the end of it. Afterwards.
Yeah, so
I knew a little bit about this. Yeah, and I kind of like. I was kind of right, I guess, in terms of what I heard about it.
So let me do this. How you beat the game, right?
I beat the game.
Okay. Yeah, so what did you think of the ending, just as it was?
Kind of dark, a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so the game at the end of it, you don't get a choice.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler on this fucking 15-year-old game. So Elika essentially dies, offering up her power to Ormazd, basically, to lock away Ahriman, right? And then the prince basically goes, fuck that. And you chop down 4 trees, like 4 magic spirit trees or whatever, and go back to the tree that was locking Ahriman away inside the palace, inside the temple, right? You chop down the tree, you basically get like a big light orb, right? A light shard or whatever. You walk back to Elika's dead body, which you placed on like an altar like earlier, basically outside of the temple, and offer to her, so she comes back to life. You revive her, and then she goes, "Why did you do that?"
Yes,
and then the prince picks up Elika and walks into the desert. As you see the temple that was locking Ahriman away, crumbling behind you, and you see Ahriman's giant shadow specter engulfing everything around it. Kind of like a dark... again, you picked the dark timeline, basically. I think it would have been cool if that was like a choice thing, where you chose life or you choose death, which that was kind of the whole point of you hear the 2 voices talking about like you choose life or you choose death.
Yeah.
The fact that you don't get the option, choice, kind of annoying.
Which Ubisoft does later in Assassin's Creed 3, which presents a choice to you that you don't actually make.
Yeah, the illusion of choice. Yeah. So that's the ending of the game. Not proper. Technically, like the ending of the game on the disc, which is like, okay. I was like, okay, that's kind of a dark ending and like relatively unsatisfactory because like either way she was gonna die or you were gonna bring the world back into darkness, basically. And then I look up the DLC because again I see as well downloadable content on the screen. I'm like, I'm assuming this isn't just like a photo book. Like, so I look it up and I'm like, I realize, yep, the epilogue. I confirm the previous thing that I said before in the first half of the episode. Yeah, the proper end of the game is fucking DLC. Ubisoft and their fucking infinite wisdom locked the fucking ending away.
Which is a theme in the Assassin's Creed games, where yes, there are endings locked away in DLC and like major plot points.
That is Ubisoft with their fucking bullshittery. So I obviously can't get the game anymore.
Yeah,
I mean,
the DLC.
I could find a ROM, but it's whatever.
Did you watch it on like YouTube or anything?
I just went on YouTube.
Okay, so what was the epilogue?
Cool. So like you basically like you go around with with Elika again, right? She gets more powers to create essentially new plates, basically, and more movement stuff and all this other stuff. You fight her dad again, right? He falls into is it a spikes? Spike. He basically falls. You fight him again. He falls into like a pit of spikes. He dies, which, from my understanding, is actually an homage to the original Prince of Persia game, the original side scroller one.
Okay.
There's like it's literally like a. From the side view, it's literally like a 1-for-1 recreation.
Oh, okay.
Kind of nice little like nod to the
original
OG fans kind of thing. And then Elika, and she's upset with you that basically for most of the game, from my understanding.
I mean,
because you brought her back to life and dragged the world in darkness, and then basically she leaves you to find and reunite her people, essentially to like reclaim her land, essentially, while the prince essentially left with like a rampaging Ahriman basically in the background, or like not in the background, but like in terms of like from the what's called, from my understanding, right? Like he's still running roughshod.
No, he hasn't.
You never actually stopped Ahriman, which again alludes to the idea that there was supposed to be more follow up games.
Yeah.
They just never got it because I guess the support wasn't there.
Yeah.
Maybe if you didn't fucking lock the goddamn ending behind fucking DLC.
I mean, would that ending have like ever done anything? Like, I mean, the game was the game at that point.
Yeah.
Who knows what if they were thinking of making more content for that game.
I think maybe the game just wasn't. It had a lot to stand up against. You know what I mean? Again, Uncharted, the previous trilogy, Assassin's Creed was getting really, really big at the time as well too. So yes, it has a lot of competition. That's the issue.
Yeah. So
fucking that's my.
But that's
DLC rant.
That's a common
shorthand of the Ubisoft bullshit.
Yeah, that's a very common thing that will keep happening in every Assassin's Creed going forward.
We've allowed it to happen. Now it's just gonna happen until fucking in perpetuity until the end of fucking time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's fucking how to use perpetuity, but you know what I mean. It's gonna happen until the end of time. Let's see here.
Things that always
things that I like now. Again, back to the thing. Aside from my fucking DLC rant. I do like the fact that you can technically take on any bosses in any order. Again, I still think I prefer the linear gameplay of the previous game. Again, I'm trying not to be nostalgic, and I think again I played this like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So like it's still fresh. Like no, I think I still preferred that in general. There's sometimes where I want an open world game, and sometimes that I'm not. Right now, I'm not in an open world mode, which is why I haven't picked up Tears of the Kingdom yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't. Okay. I need games that like tell me exactly where to go right now. Anyway.
Give me an objective point.
Yeah, that's where me at right now. Yeah. My last note here. The writing overall was fine. Definitely of the time. We've talked about it before a little bit. I think there was a slight mismatch in tone presented with the Prince versus the rest of the game. We talked about that before. And I get what they were trying to do. And again, Prince and Elika had like decent like chemistry in the middle of the game, but like earlier on, it just felt very cold, very scripted. Towards the middle, kind of picked up a little bit, and then again, just felt towards the end. It's just that like the game itself didn't match the epic scale that it wanted to do. That being said, though, the last boss fight was kind of sick with Ahriman because you basically like play as the Prince and Elika, like running across to the place to dispel Ahriman in the temple, but you're looking at the game through Ahriman's eyes.
Yes,
that's actually really sick. That's a really cool little like. It's nothing major because you're still playing the game as it regularly is, but it's just because you have the visual twist. It was like, oh, this is nice. It feels the tension's here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But before that, it felt just very like, okay, I'm fighting the dad now, and I've already fought him 3 times.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know what he's gonna do.
Just beating up her.
Yeah, I was beating up her dad.
And flirting with her.
Yeah.
Just kicking her dad's butt and just flirting with her.
Yeah. So I mean,
how many times I gotta teach you this lesson, old man? Hey, baby. See how I punch your dad.
Yeah. And again, like just. I wanted to like this game more. That's basically, I guess, my final thought in this game that I have written down is I wanted to like this game more. The music was like overall fine. The gameplay was good. You know what I mean? Like, nothing extremely insanely amazing stood out to me.
Yeah.
Like the story was fine. You know what I mean? Like it was a cool idea that was slightly different from the original games, right? And it's just like. There's just something that I think I guess because I've said it before as well. I just wanted more out of this game. I think that's like the biggest like takeaway that I had in terms of like my experience with Prince of Persia 2008.
Got it. I mean I feel like it's I think a good way to just put it is like it's a game full of potential, but like because people have already seen that potential kind of realized in other titles, and including its namesake prior, it's like, you know, do I really need to wait around for the potential of this game, or like, can I just play other games?
And it's unfortunate because, again, as I said before, like there were some cool ideas, at least story-wise, that they were, I think they were probably alluding to, but because if they didn't have the support for it, then Ubisoft would be like, why would we keep doing this one where not as many people bought this one, where people are buying?
If Assassin's Creed, if Assassin's Creed starts like blowing up and everything, and then it's like, well, why are we?
Why focus on this game? Focus on the other one. Focus on the one that makes us money.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I want to touch first, because I'm about to talk about Elika. Voice actress for her played Tigress in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, she's Tigress.
Yes, she's Tigress.
Okay, cool.
Two.
But who was Lucy Liu then? Was she Viper?
Maybe.
I could have sworn Lucy Liu was in that. Was she in the show or was she? Because I know Lucy Liu was in Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, she was. I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she was the snake or the tiger. Because unless she was doing the TV show or whatever.
Maybe
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't. I'm just learning now. Lucy Liu was a part of Kung Fu.
Pretty sure. Okay, you go ahead and talk while I look this up
now. But what I was going to go into was like the interaction between like Elika and the Prince or the Wanderer or whatever his actual title would be.
The Prince, I guess. At this point.
Yeah, more or less the Prince. Do you think a lack of chemistry between the two like characters, like in dialogue, was like a contributing factor in like it feeling robotic and stuff like that? Like if they were like you know how Sully and Nate Drake are like feed off of each other, they bounce off each other and stuff like that. Yeah. Like, do you think that if some type of dynamic like that was like there between them, if they had more chemistry as like an on-screen like duo, do you think that would have like enhanced the dialogue or the interaction in the game for you at all?
I think a little bit more. I would have been more invested in terms of the story, because again, the biggest issue that I had was that like, here's the thing: they're together basically the entire game. You know what I mean? So like, it's like, can I say that like they didn't spend enough time together? No, the entire game they're together. So like, it's there, right? I just think that like, I don't even know if I think if they had a better it feels weird to say, but like I think if there was a better overall performance, it feels rude to say that, right?
I mean, it could also be like what the characters...
writing feels a little stiff, or like, you know, like the characters don't feel like they're relatable or believable right off the bat. You know what I mean? Because again, it's all in terms of like formatting too. Yeah. Because again, I said, why is he a quippy, you know, cool suave MC?
Yeah, and then she's obviously dealing with like, oh, like my entire
the death of your civilization.
Yeah, my civilization all collapsed here.
He's like, oh, I'm looking for my donkey.
Hey, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, baby. It's just basically like, you know. Yeah, so maybe it was it could have been like a writing thing. Like we want the Prince to be like a leading man type deal. Like we want him to be like charismatic and stuff like that. And, and Nathan Drake Nolan North was like, "Oh, I played that last year."
Got it. Don't change a thing. He literally doesn't change a thing. Oh, by the way, she voices Tigress in like the direct-to-DVD movies and I think some of the shows, from what it looks like.
Okay.
Because Angelina Jolie is the voice of Tigress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Sorry for that hard tangent.
Yeah. No, that's cool. No,
listeners, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we just wanted to know the voice of Elika. What has she been doing? Who else has she been talking about?
Because I don't think she's a bad voice actress, and and obviously Nathan Drake's not a bad voice actor either.
Yeah. Oh, well, Nolan North.
Yeah, Nathan Drake. Did I say Nathan Drake?
Yes. I did the same thing. It's fine.
Oh yeah. Like no, absolutely not. They're not bad voice actors. They're not.
Yeah.
And like again, do you need to spend more time? No, they are literally together the entire time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I think it's also like the fact that you have to like interact everything yourself as well too. You know what I mean? You have to actively, if you want dialogue, you have to do it yourself by pressing L1 or L2 to force them to interact, basically. In like the mundane parts of the game, you know what I mean? Because that's the thing too, like with the way that Nathan and Sully bounce off each other. It's like, oh, you could just be traversing through the jungle and then like Sully will just make a comment.
Conversation will just start happening.
Yeah,
in the
so you kind of
parts.
feel this real relationship with these two guys. You know what I mean? And you don't really feel the relationship developing with Prince and Elika, because also certain interactions, they have to play them relatively straight, because you can play the game in any order. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't be like, oh, super like now we're super chummy here at the third spire, because like, what if I did the third spire first? You know what I mean? And then you go to the different tower, the previous tower, and now they're super distant again. You know what I mean? Like you can't really do all that stuff because the way the game is developed, I think.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because of like you initiating the conversation in those dialogue things, and a lot of games do that.
Yeah.
I think in a game where there feels like there is a lot of downtime where you don't really need to like use your brain for a good portions of it, not like there's no reason to opt out of a conversation. Because it's not like you have to concentrate on something and like, oh, I don't want to like listen to this extra lore because I have to like.
Yeah, like, I basically did every conversation like leading up to Ahriman. Yeah, like I basically did all of that. Yeah, so it's like, and again, like I heard a lot of it, and it's like, again, some of it was good, some of it was kind of felt kind of like fell flat. Some of it like, oh yeah, that was like kind of funny. They actually had some proper interaction in there. Kind of thing. It's just like I don't know. I think it's just the format of the game also didn't help them either because of the thing I just like pointed out. Yeah, like, I just put it together like right now. I was like, oh wait, yeah, because I realized like after you finish like each spire, you know, he tries to help her up or whatever, and then she kind of like she either accepts or declines his help. But then they start talking. But it's also like not but it's more specific on like what just happened. Yeah, they don't talk about like the previous experience beforehand because. Theoretically, any one of the towers could have been the previous experience.
They're just going through grades of amnesia. Just
like, so it's I think there's also like another. Again, it is, even though it's cool that they tried to do that, it's like, oh, that might have hurt the game, or at least might have hurt the storytelling and the lore building, and the character building of the two main characters in the long run. That may be a thing.
Got it. Would you recommend this game to anybody?
Would I recommend the game to anybody?
Yeah.
I think yes. I think I would recommend this game, but I would have to caveat it with like, try not to compare this. If the person who is looking to play this game now, like, you know, say you listener, if you've never actually played this game, then, you know, I think you should go try it. But don't go into this game with preconceived or like these ideas and your prior experiences. If you've played the original Sands of Time trilogy or Uncharted games, which is rough.
Yeah, I was like or the
Assassin's Creed games, because again, this is really loaded. Because again, we said it before, like there's a lot of games coming out around this time. That, like, again, like, I think just kind of did a lot of these ideas, but, like, maybe were focused upon more and maybe kind of done, not exactly better, but I guess more specifically, like, they had a much more focused direction on what they wanted to do with those games. You know what I mean? I think this game is still worth a try, and I think is very, very good as a comparison piece to seeing, like, what kind of media and what kind of games they were putting out at the time. That's what I think. Like, again, it's a good game. It's just like, you just know that there are other games that did what this game was trying to do. I think more focused, but in different ways.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And just for the record, the game mostly, like, for most of its like critical reviews, it's mostly like 7 out of 10. And
pretty good
like,
overall. I saw that.
Yeah, it was a solid. Really it was like, you know, like I said, it was like, it's a solid game that, like, you know, it's just. It's like, you know, it makes me think of Arkham Origins. Just like a game that on its own, because I never played the Batman games until Origins, on its own, it's a good game. Like, Arkham Origins is a good game. Don't hate me for that, but it's a good game. Like, it like with all the stuff that's in it and whatever, like I came out and really enjoyed it, especially as my first Batman game. Yeah. It just, compared to the previous two that came out.
get a little more context,
Yeah.
you realize, oh, this game is not as good now in comparison to the game.
So, but on its own, as a standalone game.
A standalone game, definitely like a solid 7. I don't like giving like number scale kind of thing. But yeah, like it's a good game.
Yeah.
Like I will say it's a good game. Is it perfect? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Again, I said before, I fell asleep playing the game sometimes.
That's
not a good sign. But like overall, again, I enjoyed things because I don't know if it's just because of the fact that I had something to compare it to. But like there is something, but there are bits of this game that I do genuinely like. Oh, this is cool. Like this is a good little bit of gameplay.
Yeah, and
I think it is like those things as well too. Like just the animations are really nice. They're very fluid.
Yeah,
and especially again for like a PS3, Xbox 360 game. This game is smooth. It looks like it looks good.
Yeah.
Obviously it's mocap, right? You know,
yeah.
But like it's well done. You know, it's a pretty looking game. It plays pretty well for the most part. It's just like some ideas are some ideas are not fleshed out properly, or some ideas are just like because I had outside.
Okay.
But because I have context for other games of the time and the previous games before that came out before this, I have complaints because of it. You know what I mean? I just want more out of this game.
Also just stressing again, the game artwork looks beautiful.
Yes. You can still see it. You can tell it's a PS3 game or Xbox 360 game.
Yeah.
But it holds up for the most part. I've seen worse games on the PS3 and 360.
Yes. But yeah, the artwork, it's still like just great. Like
art direction,
imagery, like it's just on point.
Yeah. Oh, and I realized one thing actually because I keep making those connections. There is a reference to Assassin's Creed in the game.
Oh, really?
One of the trophies, the Assassin's View.
Okay.
So during one of the towers, you know those little So there's like a little
ledge
a little pole, like a plank, essentially pointing out. You have to stand there for a second, and then like kind of like the camera will kind of pan out and open up a little bit.
Yeah,
and it's called the Assassin's View, and I'm like, that's a nice little touch for a game that you also own.
Yes. So there you go.
Yeah, so it's there.
Yeah.
Again, I think they tried to make it something that is different from another game that they own that also focuses on like movement and all this other stuff, but like
the idea is just in stick.
Yeah, it just it's hard to try to make a completely fresh game that has similar ideas than the previous one kind of thing. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think I had a good time with it. Again, it took me a little bit longer to get through this one because the first couple of days of it was just so busy. I didn't have a lot of time to like play it early on. But over the weekend, I did see myself like spending like 6-7 hours in like some sessions playing it. I beat the game in like it was about 4 or 5 hours, I guess. I beat the game in about 12 hours.
Okay,
and that's not a completionist run. I saw most people average the game in like 14, like for like main story.
Yeah.
And then like extras is like 18, which means like the DLC, collecting all of the light shards and all that other stuff. Yeah, like for like decent, like if you are like if you still got time, if you're an adult who has time to marathon a 12-hour game, good for you. Good for you. But yeah, like I think if I had like a weekend to play a game, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, this is like a solid like weekend, like especially if you like this game beforehand. There's like a nice nostalgia sprint kind of thing. You know what I mean? You don't have to like sit here and hunker down and drop 40 hours into this game to beat it and play it. You know what I mean? Kind of like how I beat the previous games again. Like that's like a weekend. This kind of game was like meant for like, oh, I can put this down, do a couple like a 3-4 hour session, put it down, maybe next week I'll do another 3 hour session, next week again 3 hours again. That's kind of like how I did. I was like. I did over the weekend. I did like 4 hours a pop, and then I did like 2 and 2, and I was like, okay, cool, I got it. Like I finished the game now.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
Okay, so listen, if you guys enjoyed this episode, again, this one was a little bit long. I had some opinions on this one, and hopefully, the Prince of Persia 2008 stands aren't after my head at this point.
I am deeply offended.
John's burning down my house right now, actually. But listen, thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you give us a like, a comment, subscribe, share us with another a friend. Again, we recently monetized the show. We really appreciate it from you guys that you guys continue to support us, and now we have monetization active and available on this podcast. Again, this is a passion project between me and Jeff, and I'm also just happy to get my friends on here too as well now, our friends to come in here and help us join and just have fun with us, right, and just have conversations about video games that we really, really enjoy. So thanks you guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.
but I'm in too deep. I can't bail. I'm too close to the end.
I like how that's your reasoning for it. I'm in too deep. I can't.